All right, well, everybody, this is Frederick Jones, and this is the creator of Saturday AM, the publisher of all of our publications, and very excited to have our women's chat today. It consists of Andrea Voros, who is one of our top creators and also the recent author of our second graphic novel or collected manga edition, what we call Saturday Tanks. It's called SAIGAMI, which is her book, and we are really excited to both have Andrea here today and then likewise to talk about this new initiative that we have uh, called for women manga webcomic creators. So really excited. Having slight technical difficulties this morning, so I'm waiting to ensure that Andrea is on the chat. Uh, we've been talking. I just don't know if she's actually on the chat yet, so we shall see here very shortly. But what you can expect today, it's a very short meeting. What we're wanting to do is try to build together a small subgroup inside of what we have called Pilot Manga, which is um, a group that consists of our top creators and allows us a chance to Andrea, can you hear me? Andrea, are you able to hear me? Or I heard you come.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Okay. Let me put my headset back in here then. We had a lot of technical issues this morning. All right. So whatever reason the headset is not working. So can you hear me now, Andrea?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess I don't know. Something's wrong with the headset. So lots of issues this morning, but I guess we finally on track a little bit. Were you able to join via the link or?
Yes, I joined the link.
Okay. All right. Well then, let's go ahead and we'll go ahead and get started. Then I'm going to see if I can't contact real quickly Regina Cora and just see if I can get her in on the group as well. But then we'll go from there. So just bear with me one last second here, and then we'll start the chat. We've got one question that's actually in the forum. Uh, so let's see. How are you doing this morning, Andrea?
I'm fine, thank you.
So it's afternoon your time, right?
Yes.
Got it. Yeah. It's still morning time here. Pretty hot day today as well. So.
Yeah, it's the same here.
Oh, okay. So everybody's hot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was hoping it would kind of cool off, but no, it's actually a pretty hot day today. Okay, so I am. I was trying to find the young ladies that we had spoken to the other day. There we go. Okay. All right. Well, so this is probably this is easily our worst chat we've ever done. The this will not be saved. I think I'm going to destroy this one afterwards. I don't know why. Just lots of issues going on. But anyways, for those of you who stuck this out, or those of you who are actually online, let me say again that my name is Frederick Jones, and I'm the founder of this company, and that produces several projects. The big one being, of course, Saturday AM. So we have a really great uh, digital manga webcomic anthology, kind of like Show and Jump, called Saturday AM. And I'm really fortunate that we've been able to build a fantastic fan base over the last year and a half. It's been a fantastic run for us. We've got a lot of great creators, amateur creators from all over the world who are fans of ours, who support us, who believe in us, and or create content for us. And the whole mission of our group is to bring more diversity to comic books, to pop culture, to manga, and we've really come close to trying to achieve our goal with that, between getting several female creators, several creators of color, several creators from around the world in places that are not traditional creative or thought of as creative hotspots. We've been able to really bring a lot of attention to areas as remote as Nigeria or Hungary, New Zealand, and so that's kind of where we stand. And so we're really excited about what we're doing. We've got some excellent franchises, creator-owned comics that come from this great group of creators who are world class. And our chief star creator, one of our very top creators, is Andrea Voros, who's with us today. She's not only one of the creators of our hit series SAIGAMI, or one of the creators of our group, who's a creator of the hit series SAIGAMI, but she's also one of the individuals who's helping to direct the company. So she's one of the owners in the company. So we're really excited to have Andrea with us. Andrea hails from Hungary, and we just had her very first graphic novel collection come out earlier in the week, last week. And so it was the book SAIGAMI, Volume 1. And so really happy to have Andrea here. We're going to be talking about issues related to female creators. We're going to be talking about plans we have for this group that will be dedicated to amateur female creators. But first, let me just say hello to Andrea. And Andrea, feel free to say hello to everybody in the group.
Hello, everyone.
So Andrea, you said it's afternoon your time in Hungary, and
Yes.
so you do you find yourself working on the weekends on SAIGAMI, or what's your schedule like?
Yes, actually, I'm currently working on my pages as well, and I've been doing so since yesterday. So I skipped the sleep last night.
Yeah.
So
And so she's talking about Saturday AM, which is our video game. Our magazine, our manga magazine. Actually, the latest issue that'll come out over the weekend, and she's finalizing her piece of that. So we're really excited to see that. So hopefully, issue 27, which will come out, will debut with the brand new series Islanders, and then we have the next piece of the incredible series SAIGAMI from Andrea. So that kind of just tells you how things are going. She's hard at work trying to get her stuff done. So, but she's taking time out of her schedule to have a chance to chat with us. And as I said before, we're talking about female manga and webcomic creators. Now, we've had a conversation about this before, and we're trying to solidify plans for a group that we have, which will be dedicated towards female creators within our amateur creator group called Pilot Manga. So if you're not familiar with Pilot Manga, it is a 350 member private group of ours that is built for serious webcomic creators, and we are really excited about it, and about what we think we can do with the group. So it's we're hoping to get lots of female creators out, because one of the challenges that exists, as I'm sure many people know, is that it's very difficult to when you are a creator and you don't necessarily feel like you have a lot of support around you. It's already a very lonely profession or lonely hobby, and so we wanted to try to fix that. Once we could fix that, to create more of an opportunity for female creators to feel engaged, to feel supported, to feel empowered, to be able to tell their type of stories in the world of webcomics. So we're going to try to do our part with that. We have several female members that are part of Pilot Manga, but what we wanted to was really bring out a group, and bring out a specific subgroup that would really support and empower female creators. And Andrea, did you have anything to add to that? Because you're going to be one of the principals helping to direct this group. Did you have anything you wanted to say about the women's subgroup?
well, I hope it will be big, and I really hope that many can join, and we can do something about women's in comic.
And so we know that we've been several people who've reached out to us. Again, not as many as I hope. Out of 350 members, we have quite a few female members, and we have received, in various comments, we've seen people who have expressed interest in the idea, but rarely have we actually seen all of that put together. So we're hoping that with this, that with these sort of chats and pull stuff together, that we can actually get to a place where we have more members, more people who join the group, so we can actually start producing just more female creators and or more female-centric properties, creator-owned properties that the creators could bring to Saturday AM or take out to the webcomic world in general. So we're hoping that this proves to be a successful sort of project. But just like Saturday AM, which was really nothing like that had existed at the time that we started the magazine. We recognize that it's not going to be easy. So any support, any help, any thoughts or ideas that our fan base or just female creators in general have, we certainly are open to get those. So again, we posted our event status, and we have several people who are either checking out what we're talking about or hoping to be a part of it. So so I know there was a question that was asked, and so I want to get to that question, and then I'll throw in some more questions. Now, if you do have questions, you can post them in a couple of places. You can post them in the you can post them either in this chat window. So if you're using Google Hangouts, there is an open chat window that should be a part of the application on the right-hand side. You can make a comment, post it there. It'll appear to us in real time, and we can answer it. You can post a comment in our pilot manga section, or you can post a comment to the Google Plus page that is dedicated to this chat. So if you post a question really in a couple of different places, we'll certainly find them, and we'll be able to respond. So hopefully you'll do that. We did get a few questions from some of our people, so let me go ahead and jump into them now. Regina Cora asked, she says, recently she was listening to an interview for a female penciler from D.C., which I take it was Washington, D.C. She said, in order to be recognized as a respected artist, this is the female person who was being interviewed, the female artist who was being interviewed. Regina says that in order for this artist to be recognized as a respected artist, she said that she had to change her style from a more elegant style of art, which most audiences would suspect, to a very gritty style to improve her job outlook or prospects in the industry. Has anyone experienced or witnessed this kind of change within women creators to ensure that they get a better chance of getting job assignments? That's a really interesting question. That's a really, really interesting question. That's the sort of question that I think, showcases this reason why I want to have this group. Andrea, have you ever felt the need, someone as one of our top artists and someone whose style is very kind of a mixture between shoujo and shonen, girls manga and boys manga, as traditionally called in Japan? Did you ever feel that there was a pressure to make your work look grittier or more masculine?
Sometimes yes. I actually think it's more up to the story, because the most important thing is that your art style should match your story. But if you want to impress more male readers, then it surely can help if your style is attractive to them as well.
Okay, so Andrea, when you look at, for example, female manga creators in Japan, who do you follow? Are there any that you look to as being artists that you really respect?
Yeah, there are many. From female creators, I would say the creator of Full Metal Alchemist, for example, or the creator of Vampire Knight, or the creator of Katakyo Hitman Reborn. They are all females, and they made it big.
Absolutely, and that's actually really. I'm glad you mentioned those three in particular, because those are very great examples of diversity. So, Vampire Knight, I would say, is more traditional shoujo.
Yeah, absolutely.
The characters are very thin. They've got big eyes. It's a very different look. Whereas Full Metal Alchemist and the Gray Man, or Cat, you said Cat, Hit.
Hitman Reborn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got it. Catch a Code, Hitman Reborn, something like that. But yeah, that yeah, those are two female creators, and it's interesting, right? Because their stuff does have a more well. First of all, Fullmetal Alchemist is just gorgeous. That's just gorgeous art, no matter how you cut it. There's nothing overly feminine or overtly masculine about it. Whereas I think Reborn, I think started out very cartoony, and then became a very kind of shonen style manga. Where the characters were, you know. Very strong, or really struck these cool battle poses and stuff. And so, yeah, that's an interesting mix of creators. Another creator I think is, I believe she's female, who has a really gorgeous style. You would never have guessed is D. Gray Man's the mangaka of D. Gray Man.
Yeah.
Is that she female?
Yes, she's female.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, and and the thing I think one of the things that is fascinating about that is that when you see female creators, um, one aspect about the female creators who produce shonen is that their style, in my opinion, is very beautiful. They have it's just very, you know, their backgrounds are very ornate. The character designs are really interesting. It's so there's an interesting aspect of female creators in manga. So you look at them as role models, and I definitely can see some of that in your work. For American comic artists, which is what this which is what Regina was asking about. Do you study or look at any American comic creators?
Well, I will say one creator. She's also a female. The creator of a drama con and night school or night class. I'm not sure in the
Right,
English.
right. Hmm.
Her name is Svetlana Chmakova,
Right.
if I pronounce it right. She's a role model for me, absolutely.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. Yeah, she's a very popular creator. Interesting. Okay. So, and yes, interesting. Because I think in this case, I think Regina was talking about, I believe, I could be mistaken. I think she was talking about Fuller Richardson, possibly. Again, I could be totally wrong here. There's several female creators in America, several who do great in terms of just building a successful career for themselves, whether they're indie or work for Marvel or DC. And but I remember a meeting I had with the Fuller Richardson. She kind of said something to that effect as well. Her style is very um, American superhero, but still there were aspects I think where she kind of suggested there was maybe some changes that she had. But again, may have the artist confused. So if you when you have attended trade shows and so forth, I know in the past I've asked you about this. You said you attend trade shows mainly to cosplay, not so much to show off your comics. Um, but when you go to those trade shows in your native country, do you see a lot of female manga creators? And what do you view or what do you notice in relationship to their ability to interact with their fan bases? Does it seem less fans coming up to them, or is it just particular females, or is it different? Are there very popular male artists in Hungary versus the females? How is the dynamic there?
I think there are more female creators, or more of them in the manga area. Um,
Hmm.
and well, I think the fan base is also more female than male, or they are uh, more approaching because I see many comments or approaches on anime cons from females, but not really from males. So I think it's more in the female in
That's
Hungary.
that's interesting. And why do you think that is?
Not sure.
Yeah.
That's a good question, actually. I talked about this, but I'm not sure.
That's interesting. I mean, of all the time you and I've worked together and I've known you, I've never realized that. I never knew that was an issue. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've never I've never heard you mention it before. That's awesome. Okay. So we got another question here. Give me a second here. I'll pull it up. Here we go. Okay, well, that's Sasa Condatore who's talking about joining in the group. Let's see here. We have some questions that are not related to the group, of course. It's always the case. It seems like. Let's see here. So one of the questions that came up was when asking about when's the next test flight, and we actually have the test flight live winner reveal for June this evening. It'll just be myself hosting that because we didn't get a ton of entries on that one, so I'll just be handling that one myself. And so that'll be this evening at about 7:30. So make sure you tune in to that. That'll be on this pilot manga page. It'll be on our YouTube channel as well. So again, if you're interested in seeing a test flight and the critical review of that, you can do so this evening, 7:30 p.m. on our pilot manga page. You can check it out there. But beyond that, though, the next test flight, we'll be announcing that in that episode. So if you watch it tonight, we'll announce it, and then we'll have further information about it on the website and such. So again, you guys are watching Pilot Manga, the women's chat, our first meeting, and it's not exactly a meeting at this point because we weren't quite able to for me to pull things together with that. Sasa Conatore, because she's trying to join. So let me see if I can, bear with me a moment. Let me see if I can get her on. Andrea, tell people, if you don't mind, real quickly about SAIGAMI Volume 1. That's now available in all editions. You want to talk a little bit about your very first book?
Yep, it's available in English and in Hungarian, and both of them in print version and in digital. And
Tell a little bit about about what it's about and what the story is.
The story is a mixture of shoujo and shonen, both in art style and in storytelling. Basically, it's a fantasy story with romance and adventure elements as well. The main plot is about a young girl named Ayumi who ends up in a different world than her own. And in this new world, she meets people called SAIGAMI, who are having supernatural powers, like controlling the elements and things like that. And she joins in the journey of two young SAIGAMI in hoping that she will find the way home. Okay. And the first volume has the first 7 chapters of the manga.
So the book, ladies and gentlemen, again, is SAIGAMI Volume 1. Andrea is the creator of that. We're incredibly proud of it and proud of Andrea. It's, again, it's one of our most popular series that we have on Saturday AM. It is, for those of you who maybe are not familiar with shoujo, shoujo, again, is just girls manga in Japan. That does in no way means that it's like Betty and Veronica here in the United States from Archie. These are typically manga that are that have fantastic fantasy and action, and but they just tend to have a female perspective. And one of the more popular manga or anime that many of you guys and women may know, if you are not familiar with or don't really understand shoujo, that crosses the same territory that SAIGAMI does, is a really popular work called Inuyasha. So Inuyasha was by a very popular female mangaka in Japan, and it skirted between shoujo and shonen. So it had a female protagonist, main protagonist. Although you could argue that Inuyasha himself was a protagonist as well. But it featured a male character, a female character as the stars. They had a love romance, a subplot, but there was a lot of action and adventure, and it was just very, very popular and very deserving of the success that it got. And SAIGAMI is very much in that mode, very action-oriented, some awesome graphics, really fascinating world, fantasy world with dragons and elemental warriors and just all sorts of really cool stuff. And so the book is beautiful. I hope everyone checks it out. It's priced very reasonably as well. Just $9.99 for the paperback version and $6.99 for the digital version, which is very commensurate with what you would see on from Shonen Jump or Shueisha or Viz. So we hope everyone will check it out. We're really proud of it. It's got a beautiful cover as well, And again, I think when you see Andrea's artwork, you'll be totally amazed by it. But so with that being said, though, let's see. I tried to invite on Sasa Kamatori. I think she's here now. So Sasa, so I don't think we've ever spoken to you before, but you are a relatively new member of our pilot manga group. Is that correct?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Where are you out of, Sasa?
It's pronounced Sasha.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm from Slovenia. I'm right next to Andrea, basically.
Oh. Okay. Wow. All right. So, well, Andrea and I really appreciate you joining us again. You know, we knew it was very kind of short notice to try to pull the chat together, and we're going to try to, you know, again, as I said at the very start of this episode, we Saturday AM is very difficult, and you know, we started that. You know, there was no one had ever done what we did with it before, done what we had done before with Saturday AM, and so you know, we had to do a lot of learning on the go, and but you know, we persevered because we believe in what we were doing, and you know, we've been very fortunate to have the success we've had. We feel the same way about the women's group. You know, we feel like it's something that we need to do, and we feel like it's something that's needed. But we know that, you know, it's very difficult to try to pull something like this together, particularly with everything else we have going on. So again, we appreciate your patience and the patience of people, and all we can do is promise that we'll get much better at this and get bigger and become more of an agent to empower female creators. But Sasha, tell us a bit about yourself. So I know I've seen some beautiful artwork that you've done. So you are an artist.
Yeah, I'm mostly self-taught. I did try and go to college, but it's most divisions of art in comic industry and just basic art in schools are completely different, and they expect different things from you. So sometimes instead of saying, no, what you're trying to do is stupid, do something else.
Right. I get that completely. Sasha, I must say, you have Andrea, would you agree with me that I would not have guessed that you're from Slovakia? You don't sound like
Slovenia.
Slovenia. You don't sound like you're from Slovenia. You sound like you're from Iowa or something.
I played way too many MMOs, games online, so I speak English better than my own language at this point.
You do very well. Well, so did you have any questions for Andrea?
I just kind of rushed here, so I didn't think about it.
Sure. Well, I mean, you can take your time if you want to think of any questions. I mean, again, this is, you know, the plan for this group, and it's meant to be a private group. We're doing it public for this first, maybe first couple of goes we'll do it public, but eventually we'll make it private. But the idea is really to kind of have, you know, a group where we can talk specifically about some of the challenges that impact female creators, whether it's, you know, technical issues about what sort of, you know, what sort of tools to use, or it's more kind of esoteric, like, you know, just creator issues in terms of writer's block or story fatigue, or, you know, not finding the right voice artistically, so stuff like that. So we really want to try to bring a bit more of an all-encompassing sort of community around female creators. But that being said, though, do you have any, are there any sort of things pressing that, in terms of your own creative work, have you produced your own manga at this point?
No, I'm still kind of like learning the ropes because I'm never happy, which is a blockade to some extent. Mm-hmm. What I mostly get worried about is the readership, because as a female, if you're trying to write for a male audience, call it shonen or seinen, you kind of have to wonder, oh, should I add romance? Will they hate it? Should I add this? Will they even like it? Or so it kind of, sometimes I want to add in a romance, and I'm like, I don't know if I should.
Yeah. Andrea, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, sometimes I get the very same feeling, but it changed for me when I was in high school and I was talking with a guy who was under me in one class, and he told me that he found it always annoying that he was reading Naruto and One Piece and all these kind of big shonen titles, and he said that he wanted to see more romance in them, and he found it annoying that nothing really happened in those, and then I thought that maybe some other boys are thinking the same as well. They just not telling that they want to see romance, so why not give it a try?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, as a man, as a man, as an older man at that, I think this is exactly one of the reasons, like I said, why I think this group is important, because I think that's something that women worry about, and they should not worry about that. Um, Good fiction has characters who are realistic. If you cannot feel for a character, if you cannot understand the motivations of a character, then it takes you out of the story. It's kind of like bad special effects in a movie. You know, you can have the best special effects in the world, the best concept, but the minute the special effects just look totally cheesy or totally fake, it takes you out of whatever is going on, whether it's an action sequence or, you know, some fantasy world. It just takes you out of it. It stops your ability to go along with the story. And I think one of the, you know, for us at least, I can only talk about Saturday AM and Afternoon WebEx and the brands that we do. And one of the things I've been really passionate about with our content is to not eschew to the standard manga conventions. Because as someone who's been to Japan, I don't know many men who are shy around women the way that they portray it in manga. If you looked at manga or anime, you would think that they never have kids because the men are so weird. They don't talk to women, or they're too cool to talk to women, or they're too shy to talk to women, or if they talk to women, they're chasing them so they can steal their panties. I mean, it's so ridiculous, and it's so untrue to what real life in Japan is like, that I fear that too many creators get caught trying to emulate that versus emulate real emotions. And so, yeah, I think relationships are key. Whether the relationship is between a woman and a woman, or a man and a man, or a woman and a man, or older, you know, an older woman and a younger man, or whatever the pattern is, I think as long as the emotions are true, then you should never have to worry about getting a decent readership, male or female. But the minute that you worry too much about it and start making characters who do not perform realistically, that's when people will lose faith in what you're doing, in my opinion. But that's a good point, though, Sasha, if that's what you kind of think about as you go. So, Andrea, back to you. I wanted to ask this question. So, when you're doing some of the work that you do you look at, like, because I've seen your color work, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Do you struggle with the question of doing color work versus doing black and white, just because the color work is either more expensive or more time-consuming? Because your color work is gorgeous, and I've seen some creators who only want to work in color. Do you struggle with that sometimes?
Yeah, all the times, basically. I'm really slow with coloring, and I'm still not sure about my coloring style. I always try to improve it, and I'm always trying out new methods to work with. So it's really time consuming for me. So most of the time, it's a question of whether I have time for color works or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I end up working in black and white. And also I would really like to work more traditionally in coloring as well, but that's really expensive.
Yeah.
I only have a few markers which I won on competitions and a set of watercolor, but to really express what I have in my mind, then for that I would need more tools. So I'm going digital nearly all the time, but I'm nowhere near experienced for it enough.
And do you, so I mean, so it's certainly an issue of cost amongst other things.
Yes.
But you said you're working fully digital now?
In Colorworks, yes, but
Yeah.
I'm doing my pages traditionally.
So are you using for your work for your pages? Are you using any additional tools to kind of help you finalize the pages? For example, are you using Manga Studio or Adobe Photoshop or?
Yes, both of them, and the Wacom tablet.
You say what? Can you say it again?
A Wacom tablet, and Photoshop and Manga Studio as well.
Which one do you prefer? Because I mean, both of them are kind of they're not really complementary. They're kind of competitive to each other. So, do you prefer one, or do you use one because it's got better tools than the other at times?
There are things I prefer doing in Photoshop, and there are other things I prefer doing in Manga Studio. For example, when it's about drawing line art for color works, then it's absolutely Manga Studio, which is better for me. But for basic editing, I prefer Photoshop. So for cleaning the pages, adding text, for that I use Photoshop.
Okay, okay. And what about like word balloons and stuff?
I do those traditionally.
Oh, okay, interesting. Okay, all right. So, Sasha, what software do you use? Do you work digitally at all?
Yes, I've dabbled in digital. I used Photoshop before and Paint Tool Sai, a little bit of Manga Studio, but a very older version, so I never really got into it. Because right now I'm also like, oh, just skip trying to do all the tones and learn how to work black on white, because it's a completely different thought process within the comics than thinking about, oh, I'm going to color this later. So, but for colored works, uh, you can pretty much use anything. The best thing, even in game art, they say you need to learn how to draw fast. So
Right.
learn your program as best as you can. There's ups and downs in every one of them, but it's the artist who uses the tool. So for new artists, it's probably not as good as telling them to go buy all the expensive things, because they will, and then sometimes they will give up and never use them.
That's what I was getting ready to say. Yeah, I mean, buying all the expensive tools, first of all, I mean, it's not realistic for a lot of people, particularly in different parts of the world. I mean, we deal with artists literally from all over the world, and you know, there's some countries that they're struggling just to have good internet access, and so the idea that they would, you know, be able to get or use certain digital tools is just not realistic. But no, that's interesting though. Yeah, I mean, I certainly agree with you. And it's funny you mentioned games because when I saw your style, you have a very cartoon style.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you know, no, honestly, I thought perhaps you were trained like, you know, because it's, I mean, I would think you were like animation. Your style looks very, like, your lines are very round. It strikes me very like animation. So I didn't, so I mean, had you studied animation at all, or is this all completely self-taught? I know you said it was mostly self-taught, but is it all completely self-taught? No.
Oh, my art and everything is completely self-taught. I mean, people tried to teach me. It was more like, look at that vase, draw it, and I'm gonna go get coffee. So that was the kind of teaching style we had, and I didn't really like it. So it felt like wasting my time. I was like, I can do this at home, not
Yeah.
here.
No.
Teach me something.
Stuff is great. I mean, like I said, I looked at it and it very much reminded me of animation stuff. So I hope we'll have a chance to see that in the future in pilot manga. One thing I am curious about before I go back to Andrea is how did you find out about pilot manga? How did you find out about you know, just about the stuff that we're doing? I mean, did you find out about us through Andrea, or did you discover Andrea?
No, I think it was White Manga's YouTube videos.
Ah, okay.
I just kind of stumbled on it, and then I went to Saturday AM and listened to a bunch of streams.
Oh, yeah. It's some of our other YouTube videos.
Yeah, those.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. Well, very cool. Well, then we're glad to have you in the group, the Pilot Manga group. Like I said, your work looks beautiful. I can't wait to see you maybe participate in one of the test flights or test runs or something like that. Because you definitely are very talented. There's no doubt about that. So everybody, again, if you're witnessing this is the chat. This is between. Sorry, for our women's group chat. This is supposed to be our first meeting. More than likely, we'll change that and make it not our first meeting. We'll make it kind of like
I hope.
initial meeting. But you know, our plan right now is to try to pull together within what we have called Pilot Manga, which is a community that we have specifically of manga webcomic amateurs from around the world who can really work in a group setting that A is serious. So therefore, you know, this is not a community where people come in and talk about how strong Naruto is or whether or not Spider-Man can beat Batman or something like that. Instead, this is a group where they really talk about what we just talked about, like tools and psychology and you know, fan base and how to make money and just various aspects of serious webcomic creativity. and you have to apply to become a member. So it's not something that you just join on Facebook. You have to actually find us on Facebook and then request membership. And our main objective there is to make sure that our group is maintained by individuals who care about the group, who care about people's privacy. They're not trying to steal ideas or rip off other artists, which does happen more frequently than you think. So we do maintain a very strict rule set, but we've got a fantastic fan base and a fantastic volunteer base and an excellent community with Pilot Manga. Despite having nearly 1,000 people try to join, we've got 350 members. We have a strong subset of those who are females, and what we wanted to do is come up with a subgroup that could honor and respect female creators, giving them a platform to be able to discuss with one another challenges that they see either in storytelling or finding the right equipment or finding the right place to promote themselves or making money, conventions, you name it. These concerns are very unique and are not really the same concerns, frankly, that a lot of male webcomic creators go through. So we wanted to address that. That's what we're trying to do. We have 7 people who've expressed interest. If you are a female creator in the Pilot Manga group and feel like that would give you a better chance to be heard, then please reach out to us for that. If you are a creator listening to us who's not a member of Pilot Manga, please join Pilot Manga so that you can take part in that group. As we've seen with Saturday AM, when we start out with an idea, it doesn't take us long for the idea to take off, and it doesn't take us long for us to start getting overly busy. So I would hope that the Pilot Manga, the women's group, as it starts to really take off and get more female members, and they're meeting regularly and things like that, I would hope that that you can come join us early as opposed to late, so that you can be a part of that growth. So that's pretty much it with Pilot Manga. I'm going to open up for a few more questions, either from the group or from Sasha and last for Andrea, and then we're going to call time on it. Again, stay tuned at the end. I'll give out some notes about what's going to happen later this evening for another YouTube video we've got planned, as well as Saturday AM, what's coming up for Saturday AM, both in terms of our Saturday Tank program, our issues of Saturday AM, and our webcomic publication, Afternoon WebX. So stay tuned at the end of this chat. Let's turn back, though. Again, if you've got questions, feel free to post them in Facebook. You can do so in the Pilot Manga group. You can do so on our Facebook fan page, which is facebook.com/SaturdayAM, or you can post it right here in the chat window of Hangout. Google Hangout does have a chat window embedded right in the chat window system. So let's head back and let's check if there's any more questions, and likewise, let's make sure that we have a chance to talk to Andrea, Voros, as well as Sasha Conatore. So let's see here. Just checking if we get any more questions. Sasha, did you have any questions that you thought of before we called time on things? I know you got there late, so. Hold on, I think Sasha, you got to unmute your mic if you do have a question.
Oh, somebody else did, so I was like, I don't know if I can.
That was me because of the audio was there. But go ahead. You have any other questions?
Yeah. Well, I'm curious about Saturday AM readership. Like, are they mostly female? Are they mostly male? It's something fascinating because when I look at Saturday AM, I instantly think shonen.
Right. Shonen.
Is there so action, and I'm thinking type of writing style, and I'm kind of open for maybe just pure really wants to do something else, just kind of ignores Saturday AM because they think they don't fit in.
Sure. That's a great question. So you went a little robotic, so I'm not sure if everyone heard that. Let me just repeat it. So Sasha said that when she looks at our work via Saturday AM, I think you're talking about the digital magazine, right? Not WebX or anything like that, or you're talking about WebX too?
Just the website itself. When you just kind of go through it, it kind of gives you that Shonen Jump feel.
Sure. So the show, so you know, yeah. Do we project a mostly shonen attitude, and does that possibly deter other readers, female readers, and/or female creators, or creators in general who want to tell stories that are different from that shonen aesthetic? So first of all, excellent question. The first part of that question, let me say, in terms of our readership. So it is mostly male, although we do have a growing segment of women. What I can tell you that is interesting about our demographics is that the younger age range is almost entirely male, whereas the older age range is female. So it's one of those weird breaks. And you know, coming from corporate America, having been executive in the video game industry, I can tell you that what I'm seeing is very similar to what I saw on some very big video game titles that I worked on. So this is not unheard of. This is fairly standard in terms of entertainment, pop culture content. But we certainly know who our core audience is at this point, which it tends to be males at a younger age range. As far as the impact that has. I don't think it has much impact in terms of readership, because the reality is that you know, there are very few places where you don't see shonen. It's like it kind of reminds me of the current superhero movie scenario that's happening around the world, where you know, Marvel and DC and their big superhero type series are really, you know, doing very successfully around the world. There's an appetite for it, even in places where American superheroes had never existed. Certainly not the ones who are on screen making billions of dollars. But as a longtime reader of American comic books, you know, there are a whole host of American comic book series that I'd love to see translated to the big screen, and we're starting to see more and more of that. You've got Preacher coming, Sandman's in development from Neil Gaiman. So the point being is that, you know, the popular stuff, the shonen type stuff, is what kind of opens up the door for the conversation to do other things. I don't know if we would have had the same success that we're having had we gone a different route. So we did go the route we went because A, we thought those titles were really good. Again, you found out about us through Apple Black. Apple Black is, you know, a male creator from Nigeria, and so, you know, for us, diversity means first and foremost is just finding characters, concepts, and creators who represent different ideas, and we're really proud of the fact that we did that. Now, we do want to see other types of series. We want to see comedies. We want to see romances. We want to see mysteries, horror. Yeah, and we've actually brought this up in our monthly competitions called Test Flights. So we have addressed this, and we saw some brilliant entries when we did this. In fact, our newest test flight actually also features comedy. So we're very excited about the potential of that. We do want to try our hand at that. But again, it comes down to the creators. So the creators, female creators maybe, who look at our work and go, well, this isn't really me. Yes, we do need to try to address that, and that's why we want to try to do things like test flights and test runs. That's why we want to do the women's group, like we're talking about now in our pilot manga group, because we want them to feel empowered to, if someone wants to do a romance, and we got pitched a romance last test flight that we're going forward with called Otomi Life by Regina Akora. So yeah, I mean, we certainly are open to it, but I think it's just one of those things where it's kind of a cart before the egg, or, you know, the chicken and egg sort of theory. Cart before the horse, I mean, or chicken and the egg. It's where you know, it's like, you know, you got to do one thing to be able to get yourself to a certain place, and then the other thing kind of comes along. But the fact that you did the first thing maybe negates some of the impact you would have had in terms of people checking it out. So, had we started with all female work, I don't know if that would have changed our trajectory or helped our trajectory the same way that doing what we do now does. But, you know, we're definitely interested in it, and we definitely think that there probably is a small bit of female creators who see the shonen work and go, well, this isn't for me, and we hope to change that. But we do have Andrea. We do have more stuff coming that's very different. We have a couple of manga this summer coming out. One features an entire female cast. So, you know, I think we're gonna see some changes.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And we hope to see more diversity. I mean, we hope to see more ethnic diversity. I mean, we don't have, in my opinion, enough characters of color. So it's something I do want to see us try to embrace. We don't have any characters right now who have different sexual orientations. So diversity means you have to bring everything to the table, and I hope that we can address that in the next couple of months, if not next year. So that was a great question, Sasha. It was a very great question. Andrea, what's your thought, Andrea, in terms of people discovering us and whether or not our work is more shonen? Do you feel a bit of a challenge as a female creator in our group who's producing a shoujo / shonen sort of story?
Yes, it's always a challenge because I know that most of my readers are also males, so I surely try to impress them every time as well. So some places I included more action and more flashy scenes that I originally wanted. But on the other hand, it's not always about trying to impress the audition because you can't do something that will be liked by everyone. So the main point is just to concentrate on your story that only you can tell and write without fear.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. One other thing I want to say to Sasha's excellent question, and then for people who are viewing this, is that one of the things that we try to focus on at Saturday AM, and it's worked for us, is, I think the challenge I see with a lot of webcomics, this male or female, is I feel like too many webcomics are created for the creator. And I know that sounds crazy, but this, coming from corporate America, coming from the actual product world that inspired many of the creators on this call and many of the creators around the world who we work with or who want to work with us and so on and so forth, I can tell you that I don't care if you're Toriyama or Jim Lee or Neil Gaiman, you have to have an appreciation for the customer. You have to have an appreciation for the consumer. If you do not, then the story loses something in the mix. And that's very different from how most creators think. Most creators think, well, it's all about them. And as long as they're inspired, as long as they feel a certain thing, then there you go. And I reject that. I think that's why so many webcomics around the internet don't finish. The creators don't get, they don't find their voice, they don't find their motivation, and the story just kind of blops and blops and blops along until it just dies. As Andrea just said a few minutes ago, part of the art of webcomics, at least if you want to be successful at it, is you have to find a way to get the reader to come back. And I don't care if you're telling, as Andrea said, you got to throw in an action sequence where two characters are talking about I love you, and then a building explodes behind them. That's great. Hey, I love that. But if that's not what you want to do, then something's got to happen. You can't just have 7 to 10 pages of nothing happening and then expect the reader to say, oh, that was great, I'm going to come back for this. Something's got to happen. Either the dialogue has got to suggest something great, or you've got to have a shocking moment between the two characters, a revelation. Again, in the world of professional content creation, whether we're talking about soap operas on TV or we're talking about Sunday newspaper strips, you have to have something that occurs that makes someone want to come back and check it out. Because remember, the content, for the large part, for most part, on the internet is free. And particularly the younger generation of people out there, and this maybe includes, I know Andrea is a little older than that, but I don't know how old Sasha is, but most creators are very young. And most webcomic readers are very young. And so they're younger than the internet revolution. And because of that, they've never known a world where they had to pay for content. And that generates its own problems in the sense that you've got to find a way to hook the reader. If you don't, then you're out. So I say that to say that I certainly appreciate that aspect of women creators, and that's, again, why we're trying to get this group off the ground, is these are unique concerns that creators have, and particularly female creators or creators of color may have. I could easily see this conversation with someone who is South Asian, wondering about whether or not people would even care to see, you know, a character named Nila, you know. But that being said, though, is that, you know, if you keep the emotions real, but you also keep in mind that you are focused on trying to grow and entertain a readership, meaning that you've got to be concerned about what they're doing and whether or not they will return, that will dictate how you tell that story. And that means that, like most soap operas, you're going to find ways to invoke action, whether it's, you know, something action-oriented or something that is more dramatic but still shocking. You've got to do that, and I think that's the challenge all webcomic creators have. And again, for us, the style of stories that we tell, it is critical, because for Saturday AM, for example, if you subscribe to Saturday AM, you know, we have a new issue comes out every 2 weeks. So every 2 weeks, you have to be following that story, and the creator has to leave you wanting more. If not, then it just doesn't work. So I hope that answers some questions there in relationship to some of the things that are really critical when it comes to creating content. Again, whether you're a female creator or a male creator, you've got to focus on the consumer. That has to be chief concern. So Sasha, you asked a very great question that set us off there a bit. So Andrea, do you have anything else you want to add? Is there anything else you want to say? Or Sasha, did you have any other comments or questions that you had?
Concerning webcomics, I've been reading a lot of forums and trying to find out the artist mentality, and I was kind of surprised a lot of them do not even want to charge their audience for their work. It's kind of like, my work is so more important and my readership has to read it. I'm so much happier if they read it, and I just post it online. It just kind of feels kind of off to me.
I would agree with that entirely. I agree with you entirely on that. Let me turn to Andrea first. Andrea, do you have anything? How do you feel about that?
Well, at a point, I kind of feel the same thing. Like I just wanted people to read my works and hear their opinion whether they like it or not. But as my audience started to grow, and I realized that I wanted to do this for real, for a living, I changed my nationality, and you should believe that your work is worth the money of the readers or their respect or anything. Because if you don't believe, then why would they believe? So you should cherish your work.
Yeah. So I think. So Sasha, to your question, to your point. So you know, we took a unique strategy to what we did. We, you know, again, like I said, when we started this, no one was doing what we did, and we took the idea of saying we're going to charge people for the content. And so we created this digital magazine. It's professionally put together. It has interviews inside of it. It features, you know, top creators in the webcomic space like Manga and Andrea Voros, and we decided we were going to put together a very good package that could compete with traditional comic books that are sold digitally. And we thought we'd charge for them. We charged $1.99 per issue. But then we had a really radical idea of saying, you know what, to kind of get between the two places where there's this kind of sense of us or them, you have some creators, as you indicate, Sasha, and as Andrea just talked about, that are really desperate to get readership, so they make their content free. And then you've got the other creators who believe that their content is worth more than that. But the dirty secret to that is that most of them lack any sort of background to actually understand how much their content's worth, right? Because, you know, I always laugh when I mean, not laugh, but it does kind of boggle me a bit when I talk to some creators and they're like, now, you know, this is how much I charge per page rate, and you're thinking to yourself, you know, this person has never made a comic book, they've never sold a comic book, they've never built an audience, they couldn't guarantee I get traffic to my site. So, you know, I'm not talking to a professional comic book artist, I'm talking to an amateur artist. And I think, so the challenge there is when we took the radical step that we took, we said we're going to charge for this, but we're going to do it in a way that is very respectful to who we are and to who our fan base potentially is. So $5 a year for subscription, people laughed at us. They were like, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. Why would you charge so little for a comic book subscription, and we thought, because if most people don't want to pay for a subscription, or don't believe they should have to pay for a subscription, or they don't think that we're worth paying for a regular subscription, then they're not going to do it. So if we can make it reasonable for them to say, hey, I'll pay $5 at the arcade, or I'll pay $5 at the gas station for on a donut and some chips or whatever. I'll pay $5 at McDonald's. So you know what? I'll do without McDonald's one day, and I'll pay $5, and I get 20 issues for the entire year. So I have a whole year to judge whether or not these guys are serious, whether or not these guys can even make 20 issues, whether or not the content gets any better or is strong. And so we proved a lot of people wrong, because we did over 20 issues, we had a lot of subscriptions, and now we're moving towards the next level of, we've got a different subscription level. We have some customers who only buy single issues. I've noticed that too. Some customers only buy single issues. We've had a couple of customers I see all the time, every issue. They've never subscribed to us, but they buy a single issue, and I think it's probably their way of trying to support our creators. So the short answer is that I think there is a place for both sides of the argument, but I think, as Andrea said, the challenge of trying to make a living at this is the part where I think that the creator has to be realistic. And by that I mean, I come back to what I said at the very beginning. If you are not focused on your readership, if you're not focused on the person who's giving you patronage, either in their time or their money, if you're not creating content that can excite them every time you post new content, then you really need to rethink whether or not this is quote-unquote a career. Because there's no career that you make where you only do it for yourself, unless you're just rich. There's no career. Otherwise, that's called a hobby. It's not called a career. And if you do want to make this career, and you are focused on trying to build a readership, then you got to be realistic as well, which is that it's not going to happen overnight. So you've got to have the right concept. You've got to have a good website. You've got to have good social media skills, a la YouTube videos and YouTube channels, Tumblr, Twitter, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, you've got to recognize that you're going to have to put a lot of time into this to make this happen. It will not happen overnight. And so as a result of that, you may have to get a part-time job. I talk to too many webcomic creators who think that their artwork is that good that they don't have to work, that all they can do is sit around and draw all day. And I do not understand that mentality, because just like pretty women and just like pretty men, or models, if you will, the only real truism when it comes to artists in the world is that there's always a prettier model coming up. And so if you think you're that good to where you don't have to work to cover your bills or cover your eating expenses and still draw comic books to get your audience built, if you think you're that good, I can assure you there's someone coming along, if not already out there, who's far better than you are. And so the challenge is, again, trying to build your readership while taking care of yourself, and recognizing that if you're focused on your reader, you will build a fan base. It might take a few years, or it might take a year with the right sort of story, but you will build them eventually, but you've got to put that effort in first. Does that make sense? Does that make sense for everybody? Andrea, does that make sense for you? That makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. I mean, there's a lot to go into it to explain someone who's younger, who's just starting out. There's so many things you need to think about, where whenever your artwork is good, whenever your paneling is good, whenever your story pacing is good, whenever you say something rude to one of your fans can completely destroy you.
That's right. That's exactly.
It's a lot to think about, and also the worst thing that could happen is when you hang out with other artists and then they push their own views on art onto you. It's just like, oh, it's too anime, or it's too this, or you shouldn't expect your readers to pay for your stuff. And it's just like, why would you do that?
Right. No, that's a very good one. And again, that's one of those things that I could see us discussing when we have a women's group chat, having a larger and more efficient women's group chat. That whole question of dealing with other creators is a big one. It reminds me of comedians, actual comedians who get paid to do comedy at nightclubs, or they make movies, and and the comedian the comedian group is very, they're very close knit. A lot of creators are very close knit to one another, and but it never fails that you hear these stories about the comedians who kind of beat up on each other or talk about each other behind their back or try to send one comedian down a path of destruction because, like, oh, you really should be doing this in your act, you should be doing that. Comic artists are the exact same way. It is amazing to me. We've seen this in pilot manga where, one creator doesn't get their way, and so then they start trying to build a little army of creators who they can get to think the way they think, and ultimately cause detriment to that other creator's opportunities because they're just desperate trying to get someone who can follow their own thinking. And, yeah, it's like I said, the only thing that really matters at the end of the day is the readership. That's the only thing that really matters. If you don't have an audience who's willing to check out your work, then it's like A, you're not going to have a career at this, and B, you're not going to have any fulfillment. Because I can assure you, if you're working 2 part-time jobs and you hate your part-time jobs, but you get a note from a fan who's like, man, I saw your update last week and it was beautiful and you're my favorite creator, that is like that's worth more than any amount of money you get. And so it's very important you focus on your creators, focus on your readership. That's the key, and that's the big thing that we try to do at Saturday AM. So Andrea, do you have anything else to add? I'm gonna wrap up here with a couple of notes about later tonight.
I'm not sure. I'm thinking that you basically said everything that I wanted to say, so it's hard to come up with something after you.
All right. Well, that was awesome. That was incredible. Well, Sasha, again, it was a real pleasure meeting you, Sasha. And again, I hope to see your work in pilot manga more. I hope to see you in a test flight in the future. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Sasha?
No, so far so good.
Okay. Well, again, I really appreciate you joining on. Again, like I said, I'll say again, just a couple of notes before we finish up. First of all, tremendous thanks to Andrea, who's not only my business partner, a good friend of mine. She's one of the loveliest people you'll ever talk to. So again, if you're thinking about joining the writers group or joining the women's group, Andrea is going to be a central figure in that. So she's a great person to look up to as a creator, an even better person to look up to as a human being, because she's just really sweet, and I can't thank her enough for working with us and trusting us and letting us work with her to grow her brand. SAIGAMI, her Saturday Tank, again, if you love works like Inuyasha, if you love works like Legend of Korra or Avatar, you will love SAIGAMI. It's written and drawn and created by Andrea Voros. The Saturday Tank, the first volume of her series, actually came out, I think about 2 weeks ago, the English version, but it's now available in English and in her native Hungarian language. You can get it as a physical book for $9.99, or you can get it as a digital e-book that can operate on your Kindle or on your iPad for $6.99. It's really amazing, and she is just a fantastic creator. And again, SAIGAMI, here it is right here. You can check it on your screen. SAIGAMI is available right now. Just go to our website at www.saturday-am.com/tanks, TANKS. You can buy SAIGAMI. You can buy Apple Black Volume 1, which is our biggest title from White Manga, who's nothing short of a superstar in the world of webcomics. And our Saturday Tank line is growing. These are collected editions, our hit series. These will include also Afternoon Web Expect to see Bully Eater, Spoon, Z Forever, Storybook, and more. So really excited about the Tanks line. It's been selling fantastic. And when you support the Tanks, not only do you get a really great piece of content, but you're supporting the creators, like we just talked about with Sasha. You're supporting the creators, and that really is what matters. And so, everyone, if you want to be a manga creator, again, one of the things I just absolutely shudder to understand sometimes is when people contact me about, hey, would you publish my work? And I've asked if they subscribe to us or if they've ever bought anything from us, from some of our creators, and they say no. It's like, why would I then turn around and try to figure out how to pay you, and you don't even patronage other webcomic creators? If we don't have what you like, I totally understand that. But you know, if you're not supporting any webcomic creators out there, then again, it's going to be very difficult to see how you understand how to build an audience for yourself or make money at this if you're not actually showing the same respect back to other creators. But yeah, our Saggy Tank line, though, it's great. The books are beautiful. They're larger than average. The pages are crisp. It's got original content in each book, so if you buy it, you're certainly getting new material. You're not just getting stuff that is either available on our website or available in our previous issues of Saturday AM. So please check it out. The other thing is, if you're not familiar with who we are, this is Saturday AM. We have a lot of original content. Everything we do is exclusive, so you can't find it on other websites. If you do, you're only going to find maybe the first chapter or two of these works, and hopefully that then leads you to check us out. But we produce a digital monthly magazine. We have produced to date 26 issues. Again, I can only think of one other group named Sparkler Monthly who's close to that number. But we've produced 26 issues consistently of Saturday AM. These are a digital manga anthology packed full of content every single issue. You can get all of that, 20 issues a year, for just $5 a year. It'll be sent to you via email. It'll be a download key. You download it. You start at the issue, the latest issue. So whatever the latest issue is, you get that latest issue. You download it, and you're able to see what is just an amazing collection of content. Again, I can't think of anyone else short of another company called Sparkler Monthly who's come close to what we've done, and I'm so proud of our creators. We've had creators from all over the world who've contributed, and all the series that are part of us have benefited. And so it's really big. Again, I can't tell you enough how excited I am about this. And for $5 a year, it's the best deal in comic books. So if you think maybe we're crazy, if you don't think our artwork's that great, which is ridiculous, but if you think that, then hey, test us out. Pay $5, try us out. You'll get starting with issue 26 today. Issue 27, which features the debut of a new series we're running called Islanders, that'll actually appear in issue 27. It's also on the cover. But you start with today if you order today with issue 26, and that'll be made available in your email almost immediately. And there you go. If you see back issues you want to try, you can pay $1.99 per issue, which again, in the world of digital comic books, from Marvel, DC, Image, is better than any of them, because we've got at least 35 to 40 pages of content. In some cases, we have over 100 pages of content, all for just $1.99. If you go try Walking Dead, for example, which is a great comic book, no doubt, but they charge the same price that print charges, $2.99, the exact same price you would pay to get the physical comic book, you pay to get the digital comic book. That just seems crazy to me. We're at $1.99, and we're better than just about any of those other works in terms of value for money. So check us out. Later today, at about 7:30 tonight, we will have the next video in our pilot manga series. That video will consist of a review of the winners of Test Flight for June. Now, if you're not familiar with what Test Flight is monthly competitions that we have. They are exclusive to pilot manga, which you can see here on the screen, is what we call our group of amateur webcomic creators who are serious about webcomics. They're serious about learning the right tools to use, about learning where to promote their work, about learning how to tell their story, what sort of logic goes into writing a story, building an audience, working on comic panels, lettering their series, you name it, we've talked about it, and our guys are excellent in the group. It's a private group. You have to apply to enter, but it is really fantastic. And again, we'll be chatting this evening. With a couple of creators, and it's going to be again a review of the test flight, the latest test flight, which was June. Some of the entries that we received there, and so if you're serious about it, if you want to try it out, it's a great simulation of what actual comic book work, certainly with us, would be like. From deadlines to artistic challenges to story challenges, it's a great concept of that. So hopefully you have a chance to check it out. It'll be tonight at 7:30. It'll be right on this webpage, www.saturday-am.com/pilot, Pilot -manga. So if you go there this evening, 7:30, you'll be able to click the video and you'll be taken directly to it. The video will actually be populated with images, so you'll be able to see the artwork on display from some of these series, and you can make your own judgments as well about some of these series, whether or not they're, what challenges they may have, or whether or not the plots are great. So it's a really fun time. Check it out. It'll be this evening at 7:30, and again, we hope that if you're a female creator, we hope that you look at us as an avenue. You do not have to produce content for Saturday AM. If you join the group and you're talking to creators and so forth, you can produce your content on any of the other websites that are out there. We just want to build a good dialogue and a good safe place for female creators to feel comfortable talking about the challenges that they face and talking about their ideas. And that's what this is all about. So if you're female, if you're a creator, if you're serious about webcomics, and if you want to join a group that cares about just your maturation in this particular process, check us out. We appreciate it, and we'll certainly do our best to produce a good group. Andrea Voros, who took time out of her schedule today. Again, please support Andrea. You can check out SAIGAMI. You can read it for free on our website. There's a couple of chapters up there for free you can check out. You can read all the new adventures by subscribing to Saturday AM, or you can buy Volume 1, Saturday Tank Volume 1, for just $9.99 for the print version on our webpage under Saturday Tanks. www.saturday-am.com/tanks, TANKS. But it's a fantastic series with excellent artwork and a really lovely set of characters. If you love dragons, if you love elemental warriors, then you really need to check out SAIGAMI. And that's it. So on behalf of Andrea, anything else you want to add?
Nothing really.
All right. Andrea's very relaxed. In our group, you'll see that she's not as manic as I am. She's very relaxed. But she is huge in our group. She is very respected and just a great person. So, again, join the women's group, have a chance to deal with Andrea directly, and join Pilot Manga and have a chance to just interact with me and Raymond Brown, White Manga, and all the creators who make up Saturday AM. It's a really great group of people. We have some great brand new manga series joining us exclusively this summer. So hopefully, if you've enjoyed today's YouTube video, you can check us out in the future. That's it. Sasha, again, it was a real pleasure meeting you. I hope to see more of your work in Pilot Manga, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you got, because I know you're really talented. So thank you for joining us today. Everybody, that's it. Take care, and we will be in touch very, very soon. Bye.